Sarah Chen wiped the sweat from her forehead as she stared at the impossible readings on her scanner. The mining operation on Kepler 442b had been routine until 3 hours ago, when her deep-core drill hit something that shouldn't exist. "Command, this is Engineer Chen. I need you to see these readings," she called into her comm unit, her voice barely containing her excitement. The response crackled through the static. "What's the problem, Chen? We're on schedule to extract the rare Earth deposits." Sarah looked at the massive metallic structure her drill had uncovered 40 meters below the surface. The metal gleamed with an otherworldly shine, completely untouched by the millions of years of geological pressure that should have crushed anything man-made. "Sir, I've found something. It's not natural, and it's definitely not from any known civilization." Within 2 hours, the entire mining crew had gathered around the excavation site. Dr. Marcus Webb, the expedition's xenoarchaeologist, nearly dropped his equipment when he saw what Sarah had uncovered. "This is impossible," Webb whispered, running his hands along the smooth surface. "The dating shows this structure is at least 12 billion years old. That predates the formation of our galaxy by billions of years." Sarah activated her portable scanner and began mapping the structure. The readings showed a complex network of passages and chambers extending deep into the planet's crust. But what caught her attention was the energy signature emanating from the core of the structure. "There's still power running through this thing," she announced to the stunned crew. "Whatever built this, the technology is still active." Captain Reynolds, the mission commander, stepped forward with obvious concern. "Chen, I want you to be very careful here. We don't know what we're dealing with." Sarah nodded but couldn't hide her curiosity. As the team's lead engineer, she had encountered countless alien technologies during humanity's expansion into the galaxy. But nothing compared to what lay before them now. The Galactic Council had been very clear about protocols when discovering new technologies. Any artifacts predating known civilizations were to be immediately reported and secured until Council scientists could examine them. But something about this discovery felt different to Sarah. She began her preliminary scans, noting the incredible sophistication of the construction. The metal wasn't just resistant to corrosion, it seemed to actively repel environmental damage. The engineering principles were unlike anything in human or known alien databases. "The power source appears to be some form of zero-point energy extraction," Sarah reported as she worked. "The efficiency readings are off the charts. This technology could revolutionize everything we know about energy production." As the hours passed, Sarah became increasingly absorbed in her work. The structure revealed layer upon layer of complexity. Advanced computing systems were integrated into the very walls, creating a seamless blend of architecture and technology that defied conventional understanding. Dr. Webb documented everything with growing amazement. The mathematical principles embedded in this design suggest a civilization that understood physics at a level we're only beginning to grasp. This isn't just advanced technology, it's evidence of a completely different approach to understanding the universe. Sarah discovered the entrance on her third day of scanning. Hidden beneath what appeared to be a solid metal panel was a complex locking mechanism that responded to specific electromagnetic frequencies. Her engineering instincts told her the lock was designed to be opened, but only by someone with sufficient technological understanding. "I think I can get us inside," she announced to the team. "The locking mechanism is incredibly sophisticated, but it follows logical principles. It's almost like a test." Captain Reynolds was hesitant. "Chen, we should wait for council authorization before attempting entry." But Sarah was already working on the lock, her fingers dancing across her portable computer as she analyzed the electromagnetic patterns. The challenge was irresistible to her engineering mind. Each layer of the lock required solving increasingly complex mathematical equations that pushed her understanding to its limits. "It's responding," she called out as symbols began appearing on the metal surface. The symbols were unlike any known language. but they conveyed mathematical concepts that transcended cultural barriers. The lock mechanism began to shift and reconfigure itself, revealing an opening just large enough for a person to enter. A soft blue light emanated from within, casting an otherworldly glow across the excavation site. Sarah felt a strange compulsion to enter immediately. Something about the light seemed to call to her, as if the structure itself was inviting her inside. The rational part of her mind warned about the dangers of entering an unknown alien facility, but her curiosity was overwhelming. "I'm going in," she declared, gathering her equipment. "Absolutely not," Captain Reynolds ordered. "We wait for proper authorization and backup." But Sarah was already moving toward the entrance. "This discovery could change everything for humanity. We can't waste time with bureaucracy while other species in the galaxy continue to view us as primitive newcomers." The truth was that humanity's position in the galactic community had always been precarious. Despite their rapid technological advancement, humans were still considered young and inexperienced by the older civilizations. The Zephyrians had technology thousands of years more advanced, while the crystalline collective possessed knowledge of physics that made human science look elementary. As Sarah stepped toward the entrance, her scanner detected something that made her heart race. The energy signature from within the structure was increasing, as if her presence was awakening something that had been dormant for eons. The blue light grew brighter, and Sarah could feel a strange tingling sensation in the air. Whatever lay inside this ancient structure was about to reveal itself, and she would be the first human to witness it. She took her final step toward the entrance, knowing that her decision would change not only her life, but potentially the course of human history in the galaxy. The mysterious structure awaited, holding secrets that predated everything they thought they knew about the universe. Sarah stepped through the entrance and immediately felt the artificial gravity adjust to accommodate her human physiology. The walls around her pulsed with a gentle blue luminescence, revealing corridors that stretched far beyond what should have been possible given the structure's external dimensions. Her scanner went haywire the moment she entered, displaying readings that defied physics. The internal space was somehow larger than the external structure, suggesting technology that manipulated space-time itself. Sarah's engineering mind raced to comprehend what she was witnessing. "Chen, report your status immediately." Captain Reynolds' voice crackled through her comm unit, distorted by the strange electromagnetic fields within the structure. "I'm inside and it's incredible," Sarah replied, her voice filled with wonder. "The technology here is beyond anything we've ever encountered. The internal geometry doesn't match the external measurements." As she moved deeper into the structure, Sarah noticed that the corridors seemed to be reconfiguring themselves around her, creating a path that led toward the central chamber. It was as if the facility was guiding her toward something specific. The walls displayed symbols that shifted and changed as she passed, showing mathematical equations and diagrams that described principles of physics unknown to human science. Sarah realized she was walking through a living library of knowledge that spanned billions of years. "The entire structure appears to be a single massive computing system," she reported. "But the architecture suggests something more than just data storage. It's almost like the building itself is thinking." As Sarah reached the central chamber, the blue light intensified, revealing a vast spherical room with a floating crystalline structure at its center. The crystal pulsed with energy patterns that seemed to respond to her presence. Suddenly, a voice filled the chamber, speaking in perfect English despite the impossibility of any system this old, knowing human language. "Welcome, young engineer. I have been waiting for someone with your particular combination of curiosity and capability." Sarah froze, her heart pounding. "Who are you? How do you know my language?" "I am what your species would call an artificial intelligence, though such terms are inadequate to describe my nature. I have existed since before your galaxy formed, created by a civilization that transcended physical existence long ago. The crystal began to glow brighter, and holographic displays appeared around Sarah, showing images of the galaxy at various points in its history. She watched civilizations rise and fall across billions of years, species that achieved incredible heights only to eventually disappear into the cosmic background. I am the curator, guardian of knowledge from a time when the universe was young. My creators understood that knowledge must be preserved across the eons, waiting for a species capable of using it wisely. Sarah found her voice again. Why are you speaking to me? Why not the council races with their advanced technologies? The curator's response carried what almost sounded like amusement. Because they have become stagnant in their advancement. The Zephyrians rely on inherited technology they no longer fully understand. The crystalline collective has become so focused on perfection that they have forgotten innovation. But humans still possess the spark of true discovery. Images flashed around Sarah showing humanity's rapid expansion into space, their innovative solutions to seemingly impossible problems, and their unique ability to adapt and grow. She saw human engineers solving problems that had stumped other species for centuries. Your species is young, but you approach challenges with a creativity that reminds me of my creators. You don't simply accept limitations, you find ways to transcend them. Sarah's mind reeled with the implications. What are you offering us? Knowledge, technologies that could advance human civilization by thousands of years. But more importantly, I offer partnership. I have been alone for so long, watching civilizations rise and fall without finding one worthy of true collaboration. The curator showed Sarah glimpses of the technologies contained within its vast memory banks. Faster-than-light communication systems that operated outside normal space-time, energy sources that could power entire star systems, medical technologies that could extend lifespans indefinitely. But why now? Why reveal yourself after all this time? Because I have detected something approaching from beyond this galaxy. A force that consumed my creator's home galaxy billions of years ago. It moves slowly but inevitably, consuming entire star systems to fuel its expansion. Sarah felt a chill as she understood the implications. You're talking about some kind of galactic threat? Indeed. My creators left me here as both a repository of their knowledge and an early warning system. The threat they fled has finally found this galaxy, and it will arrive within your century. The holographic displays showed massive structures moving through the void between galaxies, dark entities that seemed to absorb light itself. Sarah watched in horror as simulated star systems were consumed and converted into more of these hungry machines. The current galactic powers are not prepared for this threat. Their technologies, advanced as they seem, are insufficient. But humanity has the potential to develop the solutions needed. Sarah realized the magnitude of what the curator was proposing. You want us to help defend the galaxy? I want you to save it. But first, your species must advance. The knowledge I offer comes with great responsibility. Are you prepared to help your people bear that burden? Sarah thought about humanity's position in the galaxy, always struggling to prove themselves worthy of respect among the established powers. Here was an opportunity not just to gain advanced technology, but to become the galaxy's protectors. What would this partnership involve? I will share my knowledge gradually, ensuring your species can integrate each advancement properly. In return, you will help me prepare the galaxy's defenses. Together, we can develop technologies and strategies that neither of us could achieve alone. The curator's crystal pulsed more intensely. But understand, young engineer, this knowledge will change your species forever. Some will fear the rapid advancement, Others will want to use it for power. Are you prepared to help guide humanity through such changes? Sarah looked at the vast chamber around her, filled with the accumulated knowledge of a civilization that had achieved godlike status before transcending physical existence. The weight of the decision felt overwhelming, but she thought about humanity's potential and their natural drive to explore and innovate. "We're ready," she said finally. "Humanity has always thrived when faced with impossible challenges. We'll find a way to use this knowledge responsibly." The curator's response carried warmth that surprised Sarah. "Then let us begin your education. But first you must return to your people and prepare them for what is to come. Change is often difficult, even when it brings great benefits." Sarah nodded, understanding that her life had just changed forever. She was no longer just a mining engineer. She had become humanity's ambassador to a force that could reshape their entire civilization. As she prepared to leave the chamber, the curator offered one final thought. "Remember, young engineer, that wisdom is not in the knowledge itself, but in how it is applied. Guide your species well." Sarah emerged from the ancient structure to find the entire mining crew waiting anxiously for her return. Captain Reynolds rushed forward, his face showing both relief and concern. "Chen, you've been inside for over 6 hours. We were about to mount a rescue operation." Sarah checked her chronometer in surprise. It had felt like only minutes had passed inside the curator's chamber. "Sir, I need to speak with Earth Command immediately. This discovery is going to change everything." The next few days passed in a blur of debriefings, reports, and increasingly frantic communications with Earth. Sarah found herself at the center of the most significant discovery in human history, trying to explain concepts that challenged everything they understood about the universe. Admiral Harrison, Earth's highest military authority, arrived at Kepler 442b within a week, bringing with him a team of scientists, engineers, and diplomats. Sarah was relieved to finally speak with people who had the authority to make decisions about humanity's future. "Engineer Chen, your reports are extraordinary," Admiral Harrison said during their first meeting. "But you understand the implications of what you're claiming. An AI that predates our galaxy, offering advanced technology in exchange for defending against some unknown threat." Sarah had anticipated the skepticism. "Sir, I understand how it sounds, but the evidence is overwhelming. The curator has already provided mathematical proofs for technologies we thought were impossible." Dr. Lisa Park, Earth's leading xenotechnology specialist, reviewed the data Sarah had collected. "These equations describe principles of physics that our best theorists have only dreamed about. If this is genuine, it could advance human civilization by millennia." The curator had been true to its word, providing Sarah with enough theoretical knowledge to demonstrate the reality of its claims. The mathematics were elegant and consistent, describing technologies that would revolutionize human understanding of energy, space travel, and communication. But the political implications were staggering. When word reached the Galactic Council about humanity's discovery, the reaction was immediate and intense. The established powers were not pleased that the youngest member species had uncovered something of such significance. Ambassador Vex Tar of the Zephyrian Empire arrived at the mining site with a fleet of warships, demanding immediate access to the alien technology. His scaled features showed barely contained anger as he confronted Admiral Harrison. "This discovery affects the security of the entire galaxy," Vextar declared. "It cannot remain under the control of a single species, especially one as inexperienced as humanity." Admiral Harrison stood firm despite being vastly outgunned. "Ambassador, this is human territory, and the discovery was made by our people. We're willing to share information with the Council, but we won't be bullied into surrendering what we've found." Sarah watched the tense negotiations with growing concern. She understood that the other galactic powers saw humanity as an upstart species that had stumbled onto something beyond their ability to handle responsibly. But she also knew that the curator had specifically chosen to reveal itself to humanity for reasons that were becoming increasingly clear. The established galactic civilizations had become comfortable with their positions. They maintained careful balances of power, advanced slowly, and avoided taking risks that might disrupt their stable societies. But the approaching threat required innovation, adaptability, and the willingness to embrace radical change. During a private meeting with the curator, Sarah discussed the political situation that was developing around its discovery. "They fear us," she explained to the ancient AI, "not just because of what you're offering, but because they know we'll use it differently than they would." "Fear is understandable," the curator replied. "Change is always threatening to those who benefit from the status quo. But necessity will eventually overcome their resistance." The curator shared with Sarah more details about the approaching threat, showing her images captured by deep space sensors that had been monitoring the void between galaxies. The dark entities were still decades away, but their eventual arrival was certain. "Show them this," the curator said, providing Sarah with sensor data and projections. "Make them understand that their established technologies will not be sufficient to face what is coming." When Sarah presented this information to the assembled representatives of the galactic powers, the reaction was mixed. Some dismissed the threat as too distant to worry about, while others questioned whether the curator's predictions were accurate. But Dr. Sao Yeath of the Crystalline Collective studied the data carefully and reached a troubling conclusion. These entities consume matter at the quantum level, converting it into pure energy for their expansion. Our current defensive technologies would be ineffective against such a threat. The revelation that even the most advanced galactic civilizations would be helpless against the approaching force shifted the political dynamics dramatically. Suddenly, humanity's partnership with the curator became not just valuable, but essential for survival. Over the following months, Sarah worked closely with the curator to develop the first practical applications of its advanced knowledge. The technologies they created together were unlike anything in the galactic database, combining human innovation with principles of physics that predated the galaxy itself. The first breakthrough was a new form of faster-than-light communication that allowed instantaneous contact across galactic distances. The second was an energy shield technology that could protect entire star systems from the type of quantum-level consumption the dark entities employed. But perhaps most importantly, Sarah and the curator developed new manufacturing techniques that allowed rapid production of advanced technologies. Where other species required decades or centuries to implement new innovations, humanity could now adapt and deploy solutions in months or even weeks. The galactic powers initially resisted accepting humanity's new technologies, but necessity eventually overcame their pride. When the first dark scouts were detected at the galaxy's edge, moving faster than expected, even the most stubborn council members acknowledged that they needed humanity's new capabilities. Sarah found herself appointed as the first human ambassador to the Galactic Defense Council, working alongside representatives from species that had once dismissed humanity as primitive. Her engineering background proved invaluable as she helped coordinate the galaxy's defensive preparations. The curator's presence became known throughout the galaxy, though it chose to communicate primarily through Sarah. The ancient AI showed remarkable patience with the various species' concerns and questions, but it also made clear that time was growing short. "The young engineer has proven that humanity possesses the adaptability and creativity we need," the curator announced during a council meeting. "But success will require all of our species working together, combining their strengths with the new technologies we are developing." As Sarah looked around the council chamber at representatives from dozens of different worlds, she realized that humanity had achieved something remarkable. They had gone from being the newest and least respected members of galactic society to becoming its crucial defenders in the space of a single year. The approaching threat was still years away, but the galaxy was now preparing for a battle that would determine the survival of all life within it. And at the center of those preparations was a human engineer who had been curious enough to investigate an impossible discovery beneath the surface of a distant world. Sarah smiled as she thought about how her simple mining operation had uncovered not just ancient technology, but humanity's true destiny among the stars. The galaxy's future now depended on the very qualities that made humanity unique: their adaptability, their innovation, and their refusal to accept that any challenge was impossible to overcome.